learn how to tune everything out? Huh? How did you learn? Not focus. Necessity. Necessity. Necessity is how you learn things. You learn things by the necessity of it. So if AJ, if you've got to go to Texarkana, now you're learning, you mentioned a while ago, you're learning where cities are. Why? The necessity of it.
Right. I can manage time better. I can
Everything, isn't it?
plan everything right.
Necessity drives it. If you have no need, then what are you? You have nothing that drives you. If you don't see yourself, Dory, why did you go and why did you push yourself so hard to become a master gardener?
So I'd learn and know what I could and could not plant in that
Necessity,
yard.
isn't it? Yep. You had a need. You had something that you needed to do because how many, I was watching a lady a few weeks ago. I was at the plant place and I was listening to this lady talk about, she says, it's just crazy that I'm spending $200 and something on something that in a few months is going to be dead. And how many times do you plant things that don't work? It's like last year. Last year we had our first real experience with planting a cut flower bed not necessarily with dahlias, but with the zinnias and everything else because that's what Amber wanted. And so the thing is that we found the spot. But the problem the thing that we needed to solve is that Dory, all these different seeds was all different heights and they're all growing in the same thing. So when you got tall things growing up with short things, you miss out on the short things. And so we learned last year we have a need, if we're going to continue to do this, we have a need to improve this thing. We have to know, what do we see ourselves as? So we see ourselves as being able to walk out there, and Amber wants to have cut flowers. So the thing is that we have to identify what is the cut flowers. What do we need? Because some flowers, Dory, instantly the minute you cut them, they go, they're dead. You put them in a vase, in 5 minutes they're wilted over dead. So the thing is that if you want cut flowers, you have to identify which plants work as cut flowers. I was thinking about the kids this morning. What do they see themselves as? Because when Amber told me, she says, oh yeah, and by the way, the kids are going to be out here today. So now I have to kind of engineer the things around where the kids and how they think, which probably is actually very good because some of us think as kids. Some of us have the same mentality. So every Sunday morning, what do I see myself as? I see myself as different from the rest of the week. Rest of the week, what do I see myself as? I don't see myself as a preacher. In other words, I don't see myself because I know I'm not going to be preaching. So my mindset is not on that. When last week I was really struggling because I still couldn't see myself with this new guy. I couldn't figure out where my role was, AJ, of how to plan for him, how to plan that I have enough work. Do I have everything I need for it? Have I learned anything? And so when I go through the week, I've got to see myself what I'm going to be doing. What is my plan? I don't need to be wasting time because AJ, if you had to run to Texarkana, but somebody wanted you, hey AJ, would you do me a favor? I'm looking for a go-kart that's over there in Searcy. And you're in Hot Springs. And you think about it, he's like, okay, well, I'll go do it. But, you know that this person is not going to pay you anything for it. And this person is probably not even a good friend.
Yeah.
Can you do that? No, you have to be focused on what?
On the
taking
run.
care of your job, taking care of your business. You
Right.
have to be focused upon that. So the thing is that your focus is very important. In other words, what do you see yourself as? At that moment, AJ, you have to see yourself as an employee. You're not a friend.
Right.
An employee says, hey man, I got to make this productive. But as well, you have to see yourself as the leader of the family because you have to supply the income. You know that if you're doing something that's taking away from your family, you're the leader of the family. What do you have to do?
Provide, protect.
But if you don't see yourself as the leader of your family, then you're not going to make decisions as that.
Right.
Action, when I watch him, I've kind of picked this up, that David, what he does is that he has learned that in the environment, that if he is going to watch this video, what does he have to do? Turn everything else off. Isolate his mind. He's learned that through environments. So,
It's like a racehorse.
right. And so the thing is just like I told him the other day, I said, now, Axon, I said, you have to remind me. He laughed. He's like, well, how can I remind you? I can't remember anything. I said, you remember all this other stuff. You've proven you've got the capabilities to do all these other things, and you're saying now you can't do this. You can win third in the state in computer sciences, but yet you can't remember where your underwear is at.
Not important.
No, it's not important because it's not in his realm of focus. So for me, the only way that I can teach or try to help you guys is try to relate to you the experiences that I'm going through, and hopefully that you will find it in your mind to find it that it can relate to something you're doing. So, when I see myself, David, as this role that I have to stay focused upon this because what limits your vision? Think about this thing. What limits your vision? Yes, yourself, but how many times, Artie, is when you're trying to do it like was describing for Axon, he's got dogs, he's got Blade Zane, he's got all these things. At our home, we have all these things. So this morning, I was sitting here and I was trying to get my mind, and I have this point that where Amber and I will sit, we'll talk, we'll do our thing, drinking our coffee, looking at all the birds. But when we start getting up and getting around, and there's a shift that occurs, and I start locking my mind, Dory, on today. I start finalizing every little thought and putting everything together. But as soon as I do that, David, what happens? First thing that happened this morning, I'm thinking crab leg buffet. Seriously.
Your stomach was.
No, my mind was thinking crab leg buffet because I'm thinking, well, I need to find a crab leg buffet because that's what we talked about yesterday. I can taste it in my mind now, Artie. I can taste a seafood bowl. I can taste it.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, I just ready. I'm so ready. And so I'm sitting there, and so instantly, David, I'm like, guess what I want to do? I need to go Google this thing so I can find the crab leg buffet. And so I get my phone, and I had been, if you notice, this is today's notes. I had got my notes ready. And I was finalizing all my ideas, finalizing all my thoughts, and all of a sudden now crab leg buffet comes in. So AJ, I grab my phone. And as I'm looking down at my phone, it dawns on me. What are you doing? What's important? I have learned that if you will isolate your mind upon the task that you have stated as the most important thing. So for me, Sunday mornings are the most important thing, that I isolate my time, that I isolate my thinking, that my whole focus is on this moment. They talk about fasting, and we've talked about it in different ways, and I do believe in fasting. The thing that happens with fasting is that when you eat, why do you become sleepy? Because all your blood goes to your stomach. It wraps around your stomach, and it starts aiding and starts triggering that digestion. And what happens to your mind, where all of that blood was once available, it's now here. Your body triggers go, okay, well, you've had a big old fat meal, and what do you want to do?
Take a
You
nap.
want to kick back and let it, because you think about this, you go watch a lion. When a lion kills a wildebeest and it eats the wildebeest, what does it do?
Lays down for 20 hours.
You're gonna see that sun gonna have a big old belly, it's gonna find him a shade tree, it's within the nature of things.